Hola chicos y chicas, soy LKB o espero os guardo te void y basicamente yo reviews para documentar mi vida. Hola chicos y chicas, my name is LKB or spelled the way to God boy and based on videos to document my life. Welcome to Live Videos at LKB, where basically videos to document my life. So if you're new to my channel, like I said, my name is LKB or basically spelled the way to God boy and based on videos basically my videos to document my life. Today's video is just going to be over the boundaries in dating, how healthy choices grow healthy relationships by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and follow me on Snapchat, which is on the screen here for you. Go ahead and pause this video and add me, Eric1. Let's go ahead and jump into this quickly. So, when you have the Boundaries in Dating book, How Healthy Choices Grow Healthy Relationships, in the beginning there is the title page, then you have their acknowledgments, they have a table of contents, and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and not read their acknowledgments, but the page right after their acknowledgments is called Why Dating. And it's like a prologue to the actual book before you read the entire book. So that's what a prologue is. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into reading the prologue, and then following after the prologue, I will let you guys know when I am actually starting to read chapter 1. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I will stop and do a little bit of discussion because I have read the prologue and I have highlighted some things that I do want to emphasize before we even get into this. So this video may include chapter 1 or may just strictly be the prologue. Let's go ahead and jump into this and get ready for this journey. So it says, why dating? A few years back, I was doing a seminar for singles in the Midwest when the question came from the floor, Dr. Cloud, what is the biblical position on dating? At first I thought I had misheard the question, so I asked the woman to repeat it, and the question came out the same as the first time. What do you mean, the biblical position? I asked. Well, do you think that dating is a biblical thing to do? The woman explained. Once I heard her question, I thought she was kidding, but I soon realized she was not. I had heard people ask about the biblical position on capital punishment or euthanasia, but never on dating. I do not think the Bible gives a position on dating, I said. Dating is an activity that people do, and as with a lot of other things, the Bible does not talk about it. What the Bible does talk about is being a loving, honest, growing person in whatever you do. I did highlight that part. What the Bible does talk about is being a loving, honest, growing person in whatever you do. So I would have to say that the biblical position on dating has much more to do with the person you are and are becoming than whether or not you date. The biblical position on dating would be to date in a holy way. And I highlight this whole section I'm going to read right now. Quote, in fact, God grows people up through dating relationships, in the same way that he grows them up in many other life activities. The question is whether or not you are dating. The questions are more along the lines of what are you in your dating and who are you in your dating and who are you becoming in your dating? What is the fruit of your dating for you and for the people that you date? How are you treating them? What are you learning? So I highlight that whole portion because I thought that was really important for people to really hear that portion. And he doesn't directly give you an answer, but he doesn't not answer your question, if you understand what I'm saying. He kind of just leaves it open for you to kind of grasp what he's saying and how you put it down. Okay. And a host of other issues that the Bible is very clear about. It is mainly about your character growth and how you treat people. So I highlight that portion as well. With my personal experience with dating and all those other things, I do feel like it does grow you, and it does, like, even some of the things that may happen may not be good, but they do teach you things, and I believe that God puts things into our lives for us to learn from them, and we may not gather the reasoning why things are happening at that very moment or after it happens, but we may realize it 2 or 3 years later or months later or weeks later or days later after that person no longer in your life or that situation no longer exists in your life. I do believe that he does give us a understanding of why those things did happen or did not. Okay, to continue. So you think it's okay to date? She pressed. Of course I do, but it is only okay to date within biblical guidelines, which, by the way, are not burdensome. They will save your life and help you to make sure you end up with a good person to marry, I said, chuckling on the inside about how often Christians want to rule. Which I thought that was really true. Like, we always want to know the definite way how to do everything and things like that. But sometimes it's so vague that you need to go to the Bible and, you know, just live right according to the what it says in the Bible, which it says, which that's what he was referring to. Okay, continuing. I thought this was the end of it until the same question kept coming up around the country. Whenever I would speak to singles, over and over again, I was asked if dating were an okay thing to do or not. I was curious about why people were asking the same question. So one day I asked where these questions were coming from. I was told that a movement was arising from a book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye by Joshua Harris. The premise of this book is that dating is not a good idea, and many people were giving it up. As I continued to investigate, the movement went even further than the book in some circles. Many Christians were saying that dating was sinful in and of itself. Others were at least feeling as if people who were dating were less spiritual than those who didn't. It was becoming the Christian thing to forego dating. I thought at first that this was just in some circles, but the more I traveled around, I was hearing it all over the country. So we read I Kissed Dating Goodbye, and in this chapter we will share some of our reactions. We strongly disagree with the idea that all people should give up dating for several reasons. But before we get into the specifics, we want to validate the reasons behind this movement. No one would take such a stance against dating without good reason, and the reason people are giving up dating seems to be this: pain, disillusionment, and detrimental effects to their spiritual life. In other words, dating has not helped them to grow, find a mate, or become a more spiritual person. So it makes sense to kiss it goodbye. And we empathize with this pain. As we have seen over the years, working with many singles and being single for a long time ourselves, quote, um, both of us were well into our 30s before we married. Dating can cause a lot of hurt and suffering. Many people become disillusioned in the process, and they feel like they do not know how to make it work. They experience heartbreak, they repeatedly pick up the quote-unquote the wrong type, they can't find the quote-unquote right type, or they find the quote-unquote right type, and they don't like him or her as much as the wrong type. They have trouble integrating their spiritual life into dating, and they question what to do with physical attraction and moral limits, as well as wonder when to move from casual dating to a more significant relationship. So in like I said, this little prologue, he's basically just giving you the pre of this whole situation, what they're going to talk about throughout the whole book. So he's giving you basically, I guess this guy or this man or woman, whoever, used to go and do like these different seminars. He's just telling you what people were kind of telling him, and he's just telling us. But when we start reading in chapter 1 going forward, he's going to just give his own opinion based on, things that he's going through or she's going through, as well as what does he or she kind of says that we should do. So this, right now, like you said, you're not getting his perspective yet. You're getting like what he's just kind of bringing forth to us to make it aware. So when we read chapter 1 and we start reading together, we can understand. So this part is very important. That's why I think I'm just going to make this a separate video. So let me go ahead and proceed and be quiet. Okay. For many people, the pain and suffering of dating becomes too much, and they are ready for an alternative. And out of this motivation, we concur with the followers of the no dating movement and its proponents. The pain of dating is not worth it if it does not lead to anything good. We understand Mr. Harris's motive for writing this book. Like I just said, he's given the background. So I highlighted this and I put, but we disagree with his conclusion. While we agree that the hurt must stop, we don't think that dating is the problem. We think people are. Let me reread that. But we disagree with his conclusion. While we agree that the hurt must stop, we don't think that dating is the problem. We think that people are. Let that sink in. I did highlight that because I thought that was like a little slap in the face, like, hey, reevaluate your life. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. In the same way that cars don't kill people, drunk drivers do. Dating does not hurt people, but dating in out of control ways does. Paul's advice to the Colossians is sound. Quote, since you died with Christ to the basic principles of this world, why as though you still belong to it? Do you submit to its rules? do not handle, do not taste, do not touch. These are all destined to perish with use, because they are based on human commands and teachings. Such regulations, indeed, have an appearance of wisdom, with their self-imposed worship with false humanity and their harsh treatment of the body, but they lack any value in restraining sensual indulgence. That was from Colossians 2, chapter 2, verses 20 through 23, and they said that the italics portion was theirs, which was that, but they lack any value in restraining sensual indulgence. Paul cautioned the Colossians that making rules and abstaining from certain practices will never develop the maturity they needed to live life. And I highlighted this whole next section I'm about to read, and I'll tell you when the highlighting stops. This is what highlighting means starting. Human problems are matters of the heart, the soul, one's orientation toward God, and a whole host of other maturity issues. As Paul says, avoiding certain things you could engage in destructively does not cure your basic problem of immaturity, which is internal, not external. You may be immature and not be able to handle dating, so you abstain from dating. But unless you do something to grow up, you will still be immature and you will take that immaturity right into marriage. And that's where I ended the highlighting. Start back up the highlighting at this point. Avoiding dating isn't the way to cure the problems encountered in dating. The cure is the same as the Bible's cure for all of life's problems, and that is spiritual growth leading to maturity. And that's the end where I've highlighted. So that part I thought was really important, that like he's basically breaking down those stereotypes of like, oh, dating is bad, things like this or this, but it's the people that people want to. It's the okay. So dating is like the big circle, but people goes into it, and so people don't really look at the little people in the inside. They want to look at the big circle and say, okay, well, since I had this relationship and this was bad, and then my friend had this relationship and it was bad, and my mom had this relationship and it was bad, well, dating is bad. No, it's the people within that big circle that we want to categorize people in that is the issue. The people that have issues with immaturity, not knowing when to grow up, having issues with certain personal issues that they haven't dealt with as a child, that they bring into their relationships, that then when you bring into a relationship, that then comes into marriage. So it's like all those people, and so it's like the big circle, people inside that circle, and all those things that people are dealing with inside themselves are the things that don't really get solved, and you just kind of keep carrying it over into the next stage of your life. You don't really handle it. So when you get to that point where you want to start dating or whatnot, you need to start to look inside yourself and make sure you know yourself, and so that the other person can know yourself. So it's not kind of like a battle game between the two when you're really trying to come together. So that's my little understanding of that portion. Okay, let me continue. Learning how to love, follow God, and be honest and responsible, treat others as you would want to be treated, develop self-control, and build a fulfilling life will ensure better dating. Before we tell you in this book how to date well, we want to point out some reasons why we think you shouldn't kiss dating goodbye, and some more reasons why we think dating can be great. In this book, in the chapter, quote, The 7 Habits of Highly Defective Dating, end quote, Joshua Harris talks about the following negative tendencies, quote, of dating. So these are the 7 negative tendencies in that book. He's not talking about the book that we're going to read, not this Boundaries and Dating book. He's referring back to this book that's basically the antagonist or the opposite of what they're talking about, because they're promoting dating, but they're going to show us how to do it in a godly way. But this book that he's talking about, which I haven't read, is talking about it in a negative light. Like I was saying, it's talking about that big circle, but it's not talking about those people inside the circle with those issues. It's just attacking the whole circle of dating without evaluating people inside. So these are the 7 negative tendencies of dating that related to the book that he's referring to, not this book. I don't want anyone to get confused that I'm like saying that this is bad and all of that. I'm talking about the book that he's referring to. So those 7 tendencies I'm going to read. Number 1, dating leads to intimacy, but not necessarily to commitment. 2, dating tends to skip the quote-unquote friendship stage of relationship. 3, dating often mistakes a physical relationship for love. 4, dating often isolates a couple from other vital relationships. 5, dating in many cases distracts young adults from their primary responsibility of preparing for the future. 6. Dating can cause discontentment with God's gifts of singleness. And 7. Dating creates an artificial environment for evaluating another person's character. So now this is him. Now this is the author, or I'm assuming it's a he or she. I think it's two guys. Yeah, it says doctor, so I think there are two guys, and their name's Henry and John. So I think there are two guys that are talking about throughout this book. But now we're going back to what they're saying. They were just giving us those 7 negative tendencies from that other book. So let's go ahead and go back to what they're saying. All of these problem scenarios are created by people and the way we date. Let me reread that. All of these problem scenarios are created by the people and the way they date. Not by dating. Dating is just the situation or the activity. It's what the people do. And like I'm saying, think of it as a circle. And, let's say the whole world is in that circle. And we just want to cast off that as just negative, but we haven't evaluated the people inside. It's like, how you going to make a pie and just be like the pie is good, but you didn't get to see what's in there to see why you like the pie. You just like, I like the pie whatever this is, instead of saying, oh, I like apple pie, or you like cherry pie. You gotta get to see what's actually inside of it for you to say that you like something, or to say that you don't like something. So it says all of these problem scenarios are created by people and the way that they date. Throughout the rest of this book, we will address each one of these by looking at the lack of appropriate structure within, among other things, a person's. Wait, I am rambling. Like, let me use these commas here. Let's slow down. Okay, let me reread that. Throughout the rest of this book, we will address each one of these by looking at the lack of appropriate structure within, among other things, a person's character, support system, values, and relationship with God. In other words, a lack of boundaries. So now he's going to go ahead and introduce the reason of this book, the boundaries in dating. So the whole issue with these 7 things is a lack of boundaries. So basically this whole book is going to be talking about the boundaries in dating, how to have healthy relationships, by the choices that you make, or how healthy choices basically grow healthy relationships. So this is kind of like a lifestyle book mixed with like a spiritual book. So as I said, I thought this was really good because I like those 2 things. So boom, point for me. So let's go ahead and continue. Each one of these scenarios has to do with some aspects of character immaturity, such as fusion, dependency, or self-centeredness. And I highlight this portion. A loss of boundaries occurs when an immature person gives up all of his or her structures, internal and external, and fuses with an ideal, a person, or something else to avoid. A loss of boundaries occurs when an immature person gives up all or his or her structure, internal and external, and fuses with an ideal, a person, or something else to avoid maturing. The immature idealized falling in love that we have all seen as destructive is always a problem in which someone needs to be brought back to reality. If someone has this tendency, they need character and spiritual growth to mature enough to face life and relationships in a more balanced way. And we think that God can provide that. Throughout the book, we will talk about all of these problems and the boundaries that will cure them. God gives us principles to guide us in life. Because we can trust His ways, we are free to grow and develop a life as we mature. We do not have to avoid life or maturity. Harris builds his case on one example after another of selfish gratification of passion at the expense of another person, or of heartbreak, or of immature, dependent, addictive romance. None of these situations are caused by dating, but the immaturity of the people involved. We all know how many situations where more mature and godly teens, young adults, and older adults dated in very growth-producing and mature ways, and they were very grateful for the experience. Harris's logic seems to be, quote, person A dated person B, person A or B or both get hurt, which equals dating is bad, end quote. This is a little like saying because there's a divorce, no one should get married, or because there are car accidents, no one should drive. Many singles date very responsibly, and they learn and grow through the experience. Both parties are the better for it, and they are more prepared for a later commitment. Harris however, is right about this. Some people should not date, at least for a while. Just as some people should not drive, or should not ever drink, or should not do other things that the Bible leaves as free territory. Some people should not date. The biblical principle is that these people might have a weakness or immaturity that could cause them to stumble, and for this reason, refraining from a certain activity is best. One internationally known youth worker I consulted confirmed this. He said, quote, refraining from dating is probably a good idea for a small percent of the teenagers we work with. The rest needs to be dating and learning how to handle all that dating brings up in the maturity cycle, end quote. This is what we think as well, and I highlight this next portion. Not dating is a good idea for a few people. People who are vulnerable to destructive romance fusion, who are being used by others, or who are avoiding maturity. Not dating is a good idea to give these people the opportunity to grow, end quote, or in highlight. But for others, we think dating can be a very good experience, and so does Harris. He just doesn't call it dating. He says that a couple people should spend time with each other to see if they are right for one another before they go forward into marriage. But he distinguishes that from dating because from the first date, the couple is investigating marriage. Up until this point, there was a friendship. Not a bad plan, we believe. Get to know someone well before you commit to marriage. We also believe that dating offers this opportunity and more. Here are a few of the benefits we see in dating. So throughout, I highlight the different benefits so we can keep track of them. And just so when I make this and I put the stuff in our discussion board as well as in the comment section as well as in the description box, I can plan myself of what I need to put forward so you guys can remember from each video. So I will say a lot of highlighted things just so I can keep track, but also so you guys can just keep track of some main points. So number one, a few benefits of dating we are seeing in dating is one, dating gives people the opportunity to learn about themselves, others, and relationships in a safe context. And highlight. When done properly, dating is an incubator time of discovering the opposite sex, one's own sexual feelings, moral limits, one's need for relationship skills, and one's taste in people. Start highlight, but dating must be done in the proper context. A single person must date within a community of people who care about him or her. And highlight. For teens, this context is their parents, friends, youth groups, youth pastors, coaches, and the like. Start highlight. Dating gives people a place to grow and learn and the safety of people who can help them develop and highlight. I told one youth worker who believed in the no dating movement that I thought he was robbing teens of needed input and coaching if he encouraged them not to date. Start highlight. I would rather, in highlight, see teens learn in a situation where they have been guided and have an opportunity to mature before making a marriage commitment than see them make a commitment and then have to figure all of that out later. The same is true for older singles. Their friends, pastors, and community should provide support for their dating lives. This gives them a place to grow until they are ready for marriage. Start highlight. So this is the second point of why they see that there are benefits of dating. Number two, dating provides a context to work through issues. And highlight. Ask some happily married people how they would have fared if they had married their first boyfriend or girlfriend. We have all seen it 1,000 times. People's first choices of who they are attracted to may not be so great. Start highlight. Dating offers people a place to find out what they think they value in a person might not be what they value in the long term. And highlight. I believe in that because people taste change. Even like let's think about something as simple as food. Maybe one year you really like pepperoni pizza. Like let me use myself for example. So my favorite food, all you guys know, is pizza. And I used to like sausage and pepperoni, and I used to have ham on it. I like the meat lovers pizza. But literally just in 2018, I started a journey where I no longer eat pork or shellfish because I also used to like shrimp on my pizza. And I no longer eat pork or shellfish. So just something as simple as food, our taste can change. a taste in what we like, or even with our clothing. Maybe one year you want to wear all neutral colors, and you're really into the neutral. And then one year comes up, or a couple months later, you're into like really bright clothing and really eccentric patterns and things. And something as simple as those things also kind of trickle over into who we feel attracted to, or what we like in a person. So that's why I really highlighted that point. Okay, continuing. They may find that what they were attracted to is fleeting and can even be destructive. Some of these attractions can even take on spiritual overtones. That is an important message as well. Some of these attractions can even take on spiritual overtones. The reason why that's important is because, like, even though you may be attracted to certain people, you may be attracted to those people. Those people's spirits may not be in line with yours or in compatibility with yours. And even, this is sad to say, but since we're talking about all relationships and not talking about just personal, intimate, boyfriend, girlfriend type of thing, even family members can be, kind of like detrimental to your spiritual as well if you guys not on the same page or things like that. So all relationships, since we're going to talk about all relationships, this can also go forth when speaking about family or distant family, things like that. Maybe if you got married and you got in-laws or something like that. So this mainly is talking about dating, but I just thought I would bring that up because that's also very important. Forgot where I was. Let me see. Okay. I have heard many times that someone was attracted to another person's spiritual maturity and character. That's also another thing. People may be like, oh, well, this person's really in the church. They go to church and blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's just such a good guy. Oh, that's such a good girl. She goes to church, all sort of stuff. She's in a choir, blah, blah. You can't be attracted to stuff like that because yeah, they can go to church every day, but they spirit ain't on the line what they supposed to be doing. Yeah, they just maybe just going to church, but what are they doing as what deep inside of themselves? Like, why do you find that person attractive? Not be just because of those things like that. Just like how, like, you can't just go off of looks, or you can't just go off of how smart someone is. You gotta like them for a lot of things, and if that's something that you see yourself, kind of taking some time out to get to know that person. So that also was another good point. I actually didn't highlight that point, but that's another great point. Um, they thought the person was great, but after they started to date, they got to know him or her a lot better and closer, and they found out that what looked so good in a casual relationship did not hold water in a closer relationship over time. I was talking to a woman who had grown up with an overpowering father and who had a strong dislike for his domination. She was attracted to men who were kind and soft, qualities her father did not possess. She ended up marrying her first boyfriend after dating for only a short while. He was a very nice and kind man, but because she feared a man's power, a very passive one, she was she was sorry that she did not learn earlier about her tendency to to idolize passivity. Had she dated her husband for a while, she would have known what she was getting into and what he was like in a real relationship. Lots of people look until there's a real relationship day after day. So this is the third point. We're saying that dating helps build relationship skills. Intimate relationships take a lot of skills and a lot of, wait, I said that backwards. Intimate relationships take a lot of work and a lot of skills. So this whole next portion is going to be highlighted. Start highlight. Many people do not come to the table of adulthood having learned these relationship skills in their families or other places. But when they begin dating, they found out that they possess some serious insecurities, or they lack certain relationship skills, such as communication, vulnerability, trust, assertiveness, honesty, self-sacrifice, and listening. In their dating relationships, they become aware of their immaturity and are able to find out what they need to work on before they are ready for a significant relationship. In addition, dating gives the person the opportunity to learn about relationship relationship itself and how they function in a relationship. It can be an enormous time of growth and discovery. So now we're on our fourth point, which is dating can heal and repair in highlight. I ran into a man I hadn't seen in some time, and I was surprised to find that he was happily married to someone other than the woman he had been with when I last saw him. When I asked him about his former girlfriend, he replied, "Oh, we were great friends, and I'm so grateful to God for the role she played in my life." "What do you mean?" I asked. And I highlight this whole next portion. Start highlight. "For a while, I thought she was the one, but God had other plans long term for both of us. I do believe, however, that He brought us together for a season to teach us both a lot about ourselves and to bring about some healing. I had I had had so much hurt in the past, and she was so accepting and nurturing. Her love was very important to my becoming someone who could love again. Although I know she was not the right one for me to marry, our relationship was really good for both of us and prepared us for our future relationships." End highlight. I apologize for all the interruptions, but I usually need to just, take a minute to kind of catch my breath and things like that. Also, I hope this is clear enough. Hope you guys can hear me. Hello. Hope you guys can hear me good enough. I do have the mic pretty close to my mouth, just so you guys can hear me, so I can hear me moving around a lot. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, continuing. God uses relationships to heal us and to change us. Although we are not suggesting that dating be the primary place that someone seeks healing, quote, "this is a horrible idea." It is a place where good things happen in people's souls. People benefit from good relationships. People can have good dating relationships where they learn, are healed, grow, and are stretched, even when the relationship does not lead to marriage. Star highlight, it has value in a person's life. Number 5 of our reasons why dating is good. Dating is relational and has value in itself. In highlight. Joshua Harris says that people seek their own gratification in dating. While some people certainly use others selfishly in the dating realm, others enjoy getting to know another person, and they give and receive in a godly way, just not in a way that leads to marriage. If you guys don't know, we're on page 20. If you guys do have the book, I just flipped to page 20 at this very moment. Start highlight. Getting to know someone, spending time with him, and sharing things with him is intimacy. This knowing another person deeply is love. In highlight. It is a relationship. It is relationship, and it is holy and good. But in dating, it is not complete. Start highlight. People who are not married do not give part of themselves. They restrain from sexual union, for example, but their other sharing has real value and it is a wonderful thing. For no other reason than the love and relationship itself, it is its own end. God has said that love, and not just married love, is the fulfillment of the entire law. End highlight. When two singles love each other, give to each other, and share something in life, although the relationships has limits of both body and heart, it has value as well. Number 6. Dating lets someone learn what. I'm sorry, but I did get cut off, and what I was saying was our 6th point of why dating is beneficial is that dating lets someone learn what he or she likes in the opposite sex. Okay, so now we're going on to a little description. We mentioned a woman above who would have done well to find out in dating that nice was not all it was cracked up to be. But there are other things people need to learn that are not based in this kind of pain. In her case, she was making up for her father's problems. Other people just do not know what kind of person they might really like and be good with. Everyone has some ideals and some natural attractions. Some of those may be good, and some may be rudeness, sickness. Not everyone knows what people he likes and what people are good for him. What is it like to spend a lot of time with a different personality, a driver personality? For some, it is heaven, for others, hell. What is it like to be around an intellectual person day after day? For some, it may be very stimulating, and for others, very dry and boring. And we can go on and on. Star highlight. What we sometimes think we like is not what would really be good for us long term, but we have to find this out. Dating gives people a context to meet and spend time with a wide variety of people. They can find out what they like, what they need, and what is good for them. Number 7, dating gives a context to learn sexual self-control and other delay of gratification. End highlight. Good dating allows people the opportunity to have a relationship and forego sex. This delaying of gratification teaches something very valuable for marriage. The relationship and doing the best for the other person is more important than self-gratification and sexual expression. Some married couples do not know how to relate, and one or both use sex to substitute for relationship. Dating within God's limits makes people learn how to relate to one another while denying sexual expression. Star highlight: dating done correctly teaches self-control and delay of gratification. Both of these are prerequisites for marriage to work. In highlight. Dating can be done poorly and can lead to hurt and pain. Dating can be done well and can lead to wonderful fruits in the life of the teen and the single adult. Boundaries in dating is designed to help you find the secrets of dating successfully and to avoid pitfalls of dating poorly. If you will take this book seriously, seek God as deeply as you know how, establish a healthy community of friends to support you in the process, then dating can be something wonderful indeed. It can be fun, spiritually fulfilling, and growth producing. Keep your boundaries and enjoy the process. Get involved in life, but remember God's boundaries and the way that He wants you to live a fulfilled but holy life. It was expressed well in Solomon's advice to the young man, which also applies to a young woman. Rejoice, young man, during your childhood, and let your heart be pleasant during the days of young manhood. And I highlight this portion. And follow the impulses of your heart and the desires of your eyes. Yet, know that God will bring you to judgment for all these things. And I don't really know how to pronounce this, but Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes, and that's from chapter 11, verse 9, end highlight and end quote. Dating can be a great time of life, but it must be balanced with God's boundaries of what is good. We hope that this book helps you find that safety, fulfillment, growth, and freedom. So now I'm going to actually go ahead and stop the video here. This was just like the prologue of the the prologue of the book. We will be going into part 1, which is you and your boundaries, in the next video. But I just wanted to get that prologue out because the prologue is very, it just kind of gives you like basic information about what we're going to go along with this journey when completing the book and as we go through. All of this, most of the things that I've highlighted and also the main points will be in the description box. It will also be in the comment section, and it will also be posted to my discussion board onto my actual channel. If you type in Labida ZKB, LABIDA ASARIKATB, and you will see like a couple icons like home, discussion, videos, playlists. If you hit discussion, all the things will be posted onto there. I will post a lot more on there. Occasionally I do advertisement on other social media, but mainly it's going to be my YouTube, because that's just how I can reach you guys directly. We can answer questions. If you do not feel comfortable posting down there or anything, you can also send me your things, or you don't even have to do that. You can just read others or read mine, and you can kind of make this thing where it's just you and God. But it's kind of better, if you have someone kind of going with you. So that's why I decided to open this book up and start this on YouTube with everyone. So yeah, guys, I thank you guys for watching. You all take care. Adios, chicas y chicas.